Hello there. My name is Jonathan Scoonover. I'm with Tennesseans for Quality Early Education. I'm the Vice President of Innovation and Community Engagement. I'm here today with Lisa Wiltshire. She is the founder and executive director of the Early Learning Collaborative based out of Nashville. And just want to ask her a few questions about the value she sees in preschool. So if I'll just jump right in and just ask you right away, what do you think that preschool does to help our community?
Well, thank you, Jonathan, for hosting this interview, inviting me to speak. Preschool is a passion of mine and has been for the last 20 years, back from when I first started teaching preschool. And I would say to that question that preschool prepares children to be successful in school and life. School is very different these days from when we were in school, and certainly when our parents and grandparents were in school. It used to be kindergarten was a nice addition to teach children how to be good community members and do arts and crafts, and that is not the case now. Those things are still done in a good pre-K and kindergarten, but there's so much more that's required. And the reason being is we know so much more now about brain development in the first 5 years of life, including that the brain grows more during that time than at any other time in life. So it's really important that early education play a prominent role because of that. We also know that the world has changed dramatically. And to be successful beyond high school, students really have to master a great deal of content, and they need to have acquired and practiced some essential skills. And so when we in education kind of what we call backward mapping, like moving back from post high school, we know what children need to know today to succeed tomorrow. And those things are basic literacy skills, lots of practice with language and conversation and engaging interactions in those early years, basic math skills that are learned through games and puzzles and blocks and other pre-K activities, and something called soft skills or social emotional skills, which have to do with communicating effectively, working with peers, regulating one's own emotions and interacting well. And those skills and lots of other skills are really acquired and developed in pre-K. I mean, pre-K was designed to provide these skills for all children, which is especially important for children who are growing up in conditions of poverty, or children with special needs, or children who are learning English as a second language. They need extra time and support and a head start, which is what pre-K gives them. And, ultimately we want them and all children to be successful in third grade and beyond, which is why it's best to give them these really rich early experiences to prevent expensive remediation later. There's a great quote I love from Frederick Douglass that says, "It is better to build strong children than repair broken men." And I think the same principle applies to pre-K. If our community cares about third grade literacy and math, ninth grade, high school completion, college, ability to get a good job, they really must care about preschool because it all goes back to those early years. They really set the course for everything that follows.
Yeah. You said two things that kind of make me want to follow up a little bit more. One was about the socio-emotional piece. A lot of times the focus is on the academics, the math, the science, the reading. Talk a little bit more about the value of what you see in our community for what that does when we teach these skills for preschoolers.
Yeah, that's a great question, and a really important focus that sometimes gets lost in the academic conversations. I really appreciate you saying that because, we have spent a lot of time surveying business leaders, talking even to people at colleges, and resoundingly, what they say is really important are young people's ability to be a part of a team, to be an effective team member, to communicate well, whether that's presenting or writing or talking. and to be collaborative, to really know how to do those things. They seem so basic, but they require practice and learning and developing those skills over time. And at times they can be quite challenging, but they really are the key to being successful in whatever career, whatever life circumstances our children will find themselves in. And in pre-K, they're really built into everything that happens in preschool. That's when kids are learning how to be a part of a community. It's their first experience outside of their home, how to share, how to be nice, how to not bite, how to do these things that seem so kind of sweet and silly, but they're really setting the foundation for those skills to develop over time. And kids learn them in pre-K.
Life skills that I think we need more of in this world today. So that's fantastic. Talk a little bit about everything, all the benefits so far that you've mentioned are obviously for the child, and that should be the first focus of any of these efforts for early learning care and education. But talk a little bit about the 2-generational approach, and what does that mean for these kids to have things for their development, but also for the family as a whole?
Yeah, so the 2-generational approach is essential to having high quality preschool programs. And that just really means that the focus is not only on the child, where it should be, the child is the center, but also on the family and the family system, because children, as we know, don't grow up in isolation. They grow up in their family system and in conditions in their neighborhoods, depending on where they live. And it's really important because the child is the anchor. It offers schools and other programs that have preschool in them a meeting point with families and with parents. And often it's parents' first engagement in a school-like setting. So it's a real advantage because they don't have negative experiences yet. And it's a way to engage families, to support their child's learning outside of school. It's a way to get to know families. And if families are experiencing crises, if they need social services, if they need health supports, health screenings, if they just need to be connected to people who can help them, the school or the program can offer that. So it's sometimes called wraparound because it's almost like you're wrapping your arms around the child and the family and really welcoming them in and getting them what they need to succeed. Pre-K, we get them for 9 months or a year, for lucky, maybe 2 years. But the family will have that child forever. And the more we can empower the families early on, the better that child's going to do in school.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate your taking the time today. Let me ask you, plug yourself real quick. Plug the Early Learning Collaborative. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we have started an early learning collaborative, which basically is just an organization that's focused on strengthening early care and education, all different kinds of programs in Nashville or Davidson County. We have a website, which is www.ececollab.org. So ECE stands for Early Care and Education, and collab, short for collaboration. And so we really want to see the whole ecosystem strengthened so that whether it's childcare providers, Head Start, pre-K programs in schools, they all thrive and they all do a good job with that 2-generational approach you talked about.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for my guest today, Lisa Wiltshire, the founder and executive director of the Early Learning Collaborative. Again, I'm Jonathan Scoonover with Tennesseans for Quality Early Education. And until next time, stay tuned.